Yo, what's up everybody? It's me, WDMichael, and in today's YouTube video, I want to talk a little bit about Pokemon VGC. Recently, the Pokemon Company for Scarlet and Violet has released their Series 1 rule set for the first competitive season of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet battles. And I was super excited because it got rid of all the Paradox Pokemon, so everybody had to recreate all of their teams, which means it's opened up some of the Pokemon that may not have been used on a regular basis. And that's what I was most excited about, because what I did with a couple of my buddies on stream was create a team that probably not a lot of people were going to be using. And the biggest part of that was we were going to use Toxtricity, and I was super excited with the changes to Terastilzation and the potential that Toxtricity might have had. So let's get into this video. Let's check out the Toxtricity team. We'll check out the IVs and the EVs. We'll check out the moves. We'll check out all the gameplay and how all these Pokemon go together. And I'll talk to you about how I hit Master in the first week with this team. Let's get it. So let's go ahead and start off with this team on Pokemon Showdown, where we actually created it right off the bat on my Twitch channel. We did it with a couple of my buddies, and you can tell some of the names are from the buddies that were in the actual Discord call when we were creating this team. So let's go ahead and just hop on through the team. Let's see what we ended up having and why we chose each one of these Pokemon, and maybe talk a little bit about them. So first off, we've got Diddy. Diddy is our Volcarona. Volcarona was one of those Pokemon that we were not expecting to have on the team, but it had a lot of the things that we needed. And that some of the other follow me users just weren't having for this particular team. The first thing with our Volcarona one is that it does have flame body, so being able to burn in this meta feels like a really a big feature. It seems super helpful, and it seems a lot more helpful than Parting Shot or Intimidate might be. So having flame body as well as Will-O-Wisp on this Volcarona just seems like a really good option to help you deter some of those physical attackers like Dondozo and other ones that are in the meta right now. Definitely really awesome. I also love that this Pokemon has a redirect in Rage Powder, and it also has a speed advantage with Tailwind. So that was really exciting. It gave us a lot of the things that we needed specifically for this team, and being our one really only fire Pokemon, we did take the Heat Wave. So this Pokemon helps out in covering a lot of what's missing on the team, while also giving a lot of the other Pokemon the ability to do what they need to with Tailwind and Rage Powder and Will-O-Wisp. And we paired that. The reason why we were getting that is because we needed somebody to sit next to Toxtricity. Toxtricity is our giant glass cannon of this team, and the more that we can get damage out of that Pokemon, the better we are. And so a lot of the Pokemon on this team are here to help him do what he wants to do, which is blow everything up. So with that, this is our Toxtricity. Toxtricity, normally one of the best moves that it ever had was Boom Burst, and unfortunately it didn't have a stab type with this move because it was a normal move and it was a psychic or a toxic, blah, 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 blah. It was a poison and an electric typing, so you never got that added boost. With the announcement of Terastilzation, we are now finally able to change Toxtricity into a normal Pokemon and give Boom Burst a stab damage effect. So now what we want to do with this Pokemon is find every single way that we can make Boom Burst do the maximum amount of damage that it could do. And so with that, we pulled out the Throat Spray. Throat Spray will end up changing or adding a stage of special attack to your Pokemon after it uses a sound move on the next turn. Boom Burst is a sound move, so it works really well with this Pokemon. We also have the ability called Punk Rock. Punk Rock means this Pokemon Punk Rock means that this Pokemon receives half damage from sound moves, and it also has a 1/3 times power to those moves. Now we're adding even more damage to Boom Burst on top of this. Now we also cut into the fact that we changed its Terastilzation form into a normal. We have now given Boom Burst a stab actual a bonus to this move. And on top of it, Boom Burst is already a massive attack. It has 140 attack, which is insane. On top of hitting both Pokemon, it is a spread move that now has a stab and a bunch of other boosts to it. Insane. It was a lot of fun, and then you finally got to find a way to give this Pokemon just that extra level of oomph, and it's fun when it pops off, yo. With our EVs for this Pokemon, we did give it that full special attack because we really want those Boom Bursts to just do what they're doing and just boom. So we gave it a little bit of speed. We didn't give it a full speed. We were just trying to outspeed certain things in the meta that we would see on a regular basis, and we didn't need to be super speedy, just the fact that because we do have a Trick Room option in the back here with our Gardevoir. So we have Tailwind and we have Trick Room, and depending on the Pokemon we're facing, some Pokemon we know we're gonna outspeed, some Pokemon we are not gonna outspeed. And so it's judging those those matchups and figure out whether or not we're going to need a Tailwind or a Trick Room to help us beat the team. Now we move on to our Annihilator. This is our Bush. The Annihilape is meant to be that end game cleaner. At the end of the game, when you have one Pokemon left, the other person has one Pokemon, you want this Pokemon to be the end of your team, ready to deck whatever Pokemon is left on your opponent's team. This Annihilape is fantastic and crushes some things. With Defiant, you do not have to ever worry about bringing this Pokemon and losing any stats. You are going to do maximum amount of damage with this Pokemon every single time. The only problem is now you do have to be worried about getting burned. So just pay attention to that when you are playing it. It can get burned and it can cause you problems. With his moveset, we are going to do Rage Fist, Drain Punch, Close Combat, and U-Turn. It gives you a lot of options as far as getting into that battle, doing some super effective. We also gave it U-Turn because it does have a choice band, and if you don't like the choice or the position that you're put into, you do have an out that will also do damage. So that was really cool. It's been a lot of help on this team, and I've definitely enjoyed using it. Full attack, full speed. It is just an instant delete. You want to delete things with this Pokemon. This Pokemon is probably one of the better Pokemon specifically on the team as far as coverage wise, and also just doing a lot of things on the team that really needed to have done. This is our Glimmora named Polly, as he actually ended up giving us pretty much the set for this particular Pokemon, but this one does a lot for us. I know that this team has a lot of weaknesses that are pretty similar. What this Pokemon gives us is a Pokemon that adds into those weaknesses, but with its Terra change can actually really help us in getting rid of those weaknesses on this team. Being a rock and poison Pokemon, Glimmora has an insanely good stat range. Where its stats are put are just amazing. Its health, high numbers. Its attack stat, which it doesn't use, is super low. They didn't put hardly any stats into it. Now its defense and its special defense are almost even. It's got a high special or speed, and then its special attack is just out of, like, it's just, if you haven't used this Pokemon in VGC, try it. It is really good right now. Like, there's a lot of Pokemon, especially in a lot of the previous generations, where the stats were put in a way where they didn't help. Maybe you had a special attacker with a high attack stat, or maybe you had a Trickermon but it had a really high speed, or maybe you had a Pokemon that had all this great defense but its special defense was terrible, so it just got deleted by a certain thing. Like, they had ways of setting up stats that just sometimes didn't work. This Pokemon is almost perfect. It is insane. Now give it a poison and rock typing, and then you can change its Terastilzation to actually cover that weakness and give it that grass typing. This grass typing gives it so much in this meta, while also giving it energy ball, so you can utilize its stab energy ball and delete almost anything that would cover your team. This Pokemon is hands down one of the best one on the team and really does so much work. Love Glimmora, and I'm excited to use it in a lot of other teams just because of how good it's done. Now this one really was an interesting one. We didn't actually add until later on in the actual creation of this team, but after playtesting and playing with it, it is probably one of the best Pokemon to have on this team. And one of the biggest reasons is because of Wide Guard. Wide Guard helps to save this team from all the damage that it doesn't really want to take from both teams. And that's the craziest part about it, because Garchomp's Earthquakes are insane. Torkoal, Eruption. There's a lot of spread moves. Yeah, I mean, even in the Goldango's move, I mean, there's a lot of spread moves, and a lot of them will delete a lot of the Pokemon on this team. Having a Wide Guard saves you from taking a lot of damage, so you can get your damage out. But one of the best features about Wide Guard that I have loved with playing on this team is that if I have my Toxtricity out and I would Boom Burst would normally hit both Pokemon on the other team and also your Pokemon on your team. It hits everybody. One of my favorite ways to get out of this is using Wide Guard. Wide Guard will protect your team from spread moves. That also means spread moves cast by your own Pokemon. So if I were to Wide Guard next to my Toxtricity, I wouldn't take any Boom Burst damage on my Garganacl, but I would still do damage to the opposing team while also saving my team from any Earthquake or anything like that. It was one of the absolute best interactions between two Pokemon on this team that I've had, and I've loved doing it each and every time because it just does so good. On top of that, we did change his Terra type to a ghost typing, so we can have another way of actually blocking that. If we really wanted to, we could ghost Terra type the Garganacl and Boom Burst next to it, and it would still take no damage. And another reason why I like using the Annihilape, and I didn't talk about this before, is because it is a ghost typing, and if I have this out on the field and I Boom Burst, it will not take any damage. So having these kind of two specific Pokemon that are going to take negative damage from that Boom Burst have been really beneficial. A lot of that is just team synergy, and if you don't have, Boom Burst is one of those moves you got to pay attention to. It will kill your Pokemon and your team. It'll kill your Volcarona. It'll kill your Gothitelle. It'll kill your Glimmora. So you have to pay attention. But having Pokemon on your team and knowing how to use them to not take damage, it makes the team that much better. So yeah, no, Garganacl is definitely one of those Pokemon I've loved having. It's super fun to use, great stall, great damage with Salt Cure. Body Press helps a lot of things on this team, like any of those dark Pokemon, that Grass Cat that we've been seeing, it helps a lot with that. Just a great Pokemon. Absolutely loved using it. And then the final one, and this is kind of one of those Pokemon that I myself have kind of been a little bit on the fence with. At the beginning of the team, this seemed like one of those those pieces that really fit and helped us with some of the stuff that we needed. Through playtesting, I have been having a little bit of issues with this particular Pokemon, specifically due to the fact that it just doesn't seem to live a lot of things that I need it to. It will basically get taken out by any rock slide, or not rock slide, I'm sorry, that's the Volcarona. But it will basically get taken out by a lot of these dark or shadow, or not dark, but these ghost type Pokemon. Shadow Ball, all this kind of stuff. Goldango has been a real big problem. So I've been having a problem actually doing what I need to with this Pokemon. And so this has been one of those ones where I'm also thinking about just swapping it out. But we'll still talk about it and what I ended up doing for the team and how I ended up using it. It does have Fake Out, which has helped us in certain matchups. I haven't used it a whole lot, so I mean that's been an issue because I feel like there has been a lot of Psychic terrain out. Indeedee is a very prevalent Pokemon, and having it is just it's definitely making the Fake Out not usable as much. The Trick Room has been really nice. It is definitely one of those things that we have utilized on the team with the Garganacl and Toxtricity not being the fastest Pokemon. It has helped a lot. Trick Room is nice, but the problem is actually getting it off, and I think that might just be my play. I've been probably playing it and opening up wrong. I haven't been opening up with the Gothitelle and the Volcarona at the same time, which is something I've been starting to do recently when playing this team. If I need to get the Trick Room off, just due to the fact that we do have the Rage Powder, and so providing that extra little bit of help to get those Trick Rooms off has helped. Sometimes what I did like doing with it is if I do see a Garchomp, any Garchomp player who sees this team is almost always going to lead their Garchomp. It does a lot of this team, and they know that. What I've been doing is I will end up leading the Gothitelle with the Toxtricity, almost like a bait. What ends up happening sometimes, especially if you have like another Pokemon with the Garchomp, like the Murkrow, that Murkrow isn't really going to be doing a lot of damage, and it's probably going to be setting up Tailwind and stuff like that first turn, and the Garchomp may Terastillize, do some damage, whatever. The thing is Gothitelle actually has a really solid defensive stat and can take a lot of the damage that the Garchomp is taking and live a lot of it. So if I can kind of gauge that they're going to be opening up with Garchomp and another setting up Pokemon, I can almost always bring out Gothitelle. I can Trick Room turn one and then protect the Toxtricity. The Toxtricity being out there baits them into wanting Earthquake. I protect the Toxtricity, I get the Trick Room off, and now on the next turn after they've Tailwinded, I am now the fastest two Pokemon on the field, and I can start going off my combination with a Helping Hand Boom Burst and KO the Garchomp in the turn right afterwards. So that has been a fun way to do it. The only problem is that sometimes if the opposing player ends up Terastillizing their Garchomp, I've had it every once in a while, they will kill the Gothitelle. So it doesn't work every time, but when it does work, it works really well. So you just kind of got to gauge what your opponent's got and go from there. But with the Gothitelle, having the Helping Hand, having the Psychic helps a lot with the team because you're able to boost your Toxtricity even more with that Helping Hand. Psychic to be able to basically utilize the Psychic terrain that I'm seeing in like 90% of my games anyways. So it's helped. The Frisk is also helpful. You get to kind of get us an idea of what the Pokemon has on their team. It's helped. I don't know if this is exactly the Pokemon I want or if I want to start changing out and trying something else. So that's kind of where I'm at with this team. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun to use. I've enjoyed using this team a lot on the ranked ladder, and we ended up getting Master Ball within, I think, on the second night of the ranked ladder opening with this team. It was not easy. It was a challenge because all the teams in the meta are really good into this. I had to really play perfect, and those games where I didn't play perfect, it definitely cost me, and I would lose a game. So not the easiest team to use, but a lot of fun when it works off. So I hope you enjoy this team. I will also pop on over and we'll actually end up seeing the rental code here. So I will give that to you as well, so you can actually play with it on the ranked ladder. But yeah, again, thank you all so much for showing up to this video. I hope that you enjoyed being able to, you know, go over this team that I made and seeing something a little bit different than what's in the actual meta right now. All the Dondozos, the Goldangos, and all the other stuff we're seeing. This is something a little different. It was really refreshing. So if you like this team, please let me know down in the comments. If there's something that you would change about this team, please also let me down in the comments. I would love to hear it. I am still learning VGC players, so if you have suggestions or comments about this team, I would love to hear about it so I can continue my learning adventure with Pokemon VGC. And again, thank you all so much for coming out to this video. If you like this kind of content, you want to keep seeing Pokemon Scarlet and Violet content from shiny hunting, tournaments, or even more Pokemon VGC, please make sure you hit that like, that follow, and that subscribe button so you can get notified when I drop more videos just like this one. I hope you have a great day, trainers. I will catch you out in Paldea. Peace.